to read about the latest news from Greece, United States, and our community on newgreektv.com. Offered in English and Greek language, read about politics, the economy, and upcoming events.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to New Greek TV News, English edition.
Enjoy our feature articles on travel, fashion, and health.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Well, we want to hear everything about your background. Tell us a little bit about you.
Watch New Greek TV productions anywhere, anytime on our web TV.
Από την εκπομπή, εμείς πάνω σε αυτό στα προβλήματα που αντιμετωπίζουμε.
Το 35%
Και αυτό που έχει κάνει αυτή η ταινία.
newgreektv.com. Our heritage, our community, our channel.
On the island of Tsipras, at the heart of the Aegean, Gaia produced an exquisite organic olive oil in limited edition, which traveled all the way to the US. The sales of Tsipras olive oil will finance 10 new and innovative Greek companies to grow. Buy today your bottle in reinspiregreece.com and support the Greek youth to move forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to New Greek TV News English edition. Spiliotopoulos is following the trail blazed by Syriza's Renadourou. Since during the presentation of his municipal alliance, Athens You Can, he said that he resigned from his parliamentary seat as he's vying for the municipality of Athens as a candidate of New Democracy. In presenting his combination with the title Athens You Can, he showed the symbol of his alliance, a citron tree. This brought on knowing smiles for those who remembered the storm of criticism leveled at former Mayor Nikitas Kaklamanis, who's also a fellow party member and again a candidate for the mayoralty, when the latter cut down in a single night the citron trees on Kanari Street. Spiliotopoulos attacked the incumbent mayor and candidate Yorgos Kaminis, describing him as absent from the problems of the city. In essence, it's like we have two Athens, the Athens of abandonment and the Athens that does not compromise. The first is the Athens of decline, a city that hopes for the minimum. The other is the Athens which designs a people-oriented solution. The city has more than paid for the crisis. It's not worth bringing down the level of expectations and settling for what is miserable and gray. Mr. Spiliotopoulos also referred to Syriza candidate Gavriil Sakilaridis, blaming him for not putting up posters on the streets of Athens in his effort to project his candidacy. It may be the fastest negotiations between employers and employees in the history of Greece, but it's no surprise. In the very first meeting 10 days ago, the determination for a new collective labor contract was expressed in various ways. With the troika auditors preying on labor relations and applying pressure for further liberalizations, the social partners were in a hurry to seal a deal, however imperfect. So, 5 days before the official end of the month, the deadline that is, the contract was signed and announced in fanfare. This has been one circumstance where the threat of the troika worked to the benefit of social peace. The president of the National Confederation of Hellenic Commerce, Vasilis Korkidis, talked about a very important deal in spite of an unseemly recession and restrictions in collective autonomy imposed by a strict legal framework. He added that unemployment will not be dealt with effectively, however much labor rights subside, unless employers and employees reach a consensus. The unreasonable cuts in employees' salary have ended today with the partners' agreement, especially given that the marriage allowance has been preserved, he said, nodding to one of the workers' union major demands. Korkidis pointed out that only with vigilance and current work issues can there be an effective strike against undocumented labor and a promotion of work subsidies and job training to apply to the needs of the ever-changing work market. This is the conclusion of an extraordinary solidarity between traditionally opposing sides, with employers and employees disagreeing with the troika market liberalization extremities and agreeing on the basics of a labor contract in record time. Details of the agreement will be announced later, but all indications are that the contract is balanced and as fair as can be, given the circumstances. If only all social partners' negotiations were as smooth as this one. This has been one circumstance where the troika bogeyman worked for the benefit of social peace. Main opposition Syriza party leader Alexis Tsipras has asked for the full text of the new agreement between the government and the troika to be submitted to parliament. In an application for the submission of documents also signed by his parliamentary group and addressed to labor and finance ministers, Tsipras and his deputies referred to 2014 memorandum citing a report in daily Efemerida των Συντακτών newspaper, which claimed that the government was covering up a new package of austerity measures on labor issues. This report presents the timing and the content of regulations which are a tombstone on workers' rights and straddle the dignity of citizens, Syriza said in a statement. The party pointed out the disclosure of the documents in English shows that this particular agreement is part of a larger text drawn up along the lines of the two previous memorandums. Pegasus, Publishing SA is proceeding to a bond issue of 80 million euros in order to refinance existing loans and future publishing projects. As stated in the company announcement, Pegasus went ahead with a program to issue public mortgage bond loan with the National Bank of Greece, the Piraeus Bank, and Alpha Bank. According to the announcement, the capital of the bond loan, amounting to 80 million euros, divided into 80 million bonds with nominally worth €1 apiece and issue price at a par. 86.3% of the loan is intended to refinance existing bank debt and 13.7% for the general business needs of the company. The new multi-bill that will be tabled in Parliament on March 31st will include a new article on the law for fresh milk in order to receive the backing of members of Parliament opposing the previous one. The recent agreement with the Troika constitutes an official recognition of Greece's achievements in both fiscal adjustment and the implementation of sweeping reforms, signaling a new era for the country. Prime Minister Adonis Samaras told Sunday's Vima newspaper in an interview, "The fiscal targets achieved, especially the primary surplus, usher in a new era in which Greece will not need to ask for loans every so often in order to deal with running operations, and they signal a Greece that is far more independent than it has ever been in the past," Samaras was quoted as saying. "All prediction of a Greek disaster are proven wrong, and those who circulated them, expected them, and sought them have become obsolete themselves. A sad chapter ends for Greece, and a new era is beginning, one that will release at last its great growth potential and will transform it into a true example of competitiveness, extroversion, and prosperity," he added. In the meantime, government officials are working on the wording of a new law for the sale of fresh milk, which is a key obstacle for the government, as several coalition MPs denied voting it in favor of the previous law. Their backing is important for Greece to receive its next bailout tranche. The demand to extend the shelf life of fresh milk past 5 days, essentially selling expired milk, is one of several liberalization measures and other reforms in the multi-bill that will go to Parliament on March 31st. The draft law will have 2 or 3 articles. This means that the provision on milk, along with other measures aimed at enhancing competition, will be included in one article with more of the reforms agreed with the Troika. If the government fails to gather the required votes, it would mean that the whole article would be rejected, undermining the deal with Greece's lenders. It is expected that by Thursday, the final legislation, which will be broken down into 3 articles, will be ready for parties to assess. New Democracy deputy Ordanis Dzamdzis told Mega Television on Saturday that he would not decide whether to back the legislation until he has seen the draft bill. Another 6 PASOK and New Democracy deputies have indicated they will not back the particular reform. 2 more deputies decided to become independent and leave the independent Greeks, the ANEL party, on Wednesday morning. In only 2 years, the number of MPs of the party has decreased by 5. Thessaloniki deputy Chrysoula Yatagana and deputy Konstantinos Giovannopoulos sent a letter to the president of the Greek parliament, Evangelos Meimarakis, in which they state their willingness to resign from the independent Greeks ANEL party. According to the Talk GR, the 2 MPs were in close contact with the independent MP Giorgos Davris, who was crossed off after not proceeding to the party's National Council earlier this year. Added to that, last week, Chrysoula Yatagana had expressed her disagreement with a decision taken by the party to support the candidacy of Apostolos Tzikostas for the periphery of Central Macedonia. According to sources, the MPs currently being independent in Parliament have reached 14, while the MPs of independent Greeks are now only 15. In another angry announcement, the party calls its resigned MPs defectors. A plan is on the way for delivering wireless internet access to 4,000 public spaces around the country by next November, including city centers, mass transportation, and museums. During a TV interview in November 2013, Prime Minister Adonis Samaras had promised that by 2014, all Greek cities would have access to free public Wi-Fi hotspots. His statement became the centerpiece of a ridicule campaign in social media, but that didn't stop the government from trying to deliver on its promise. According to statements made by Transport Minister Michalis Christofoidis and Secretary General of Telecommunications Menelaos Daskalakis, a plan is on the way for delivering the wireless internet access to 4,000 public spaces around the country by next November. This is the first phase of the three-point project. The second one involves wide open spaces, places of special interest and technical network demands, and the third phase concerns universities, hospitals, and mass transportation. Full network functionality is expected by the end of the year. In the first phase, Wi-Fi spots are to be set in 302 out of a total of 325 municipalities in the country, 100 archaeological areas and museums, and 200 ports and marinas. Among the municipalities with a wireless network are those of Athens, Halandri, Petroupoli, Koropi, and Keratsini in the Attica Prefecture, and Polygyros in Chalkidiki. Concerning mass transportation, Mr. Daskalakis announced wireless network will be installed in 1,200 to 1,500 buses and trolley buses by June and in all metro stations by August. Citizens will be able to connect to the internet for 30 minutes if they're up to 20 meters away from an indoor hotspot and up to 100 meters away from an outdoor one. A public hotspot has its limitations. It can serve up to 40 or to 50 users at a time, using an average speed of 1 Mbps for simple internet access, with restrictions for illicit context, downloading and streaming. Project budget will be at 15 million euros and will be financed by the National Strategic Reference Framework, handling EU funds. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us for this English edition news. Tune in next week. This was Spiliotopoulos for New Greek Television.
On the island of Tsipras, at the heart of the Aegean, Gaia produced an exquisite organic olive oil in limited edition, which traveled all the way to the US. The sales of Tsipras olive oil will finance 10 new and innovative Greek companies to grow. Buy today your bottle in reinspiregreece.com and support the Greek youth to move forward.
Daily to read about the latest news from Greece, United States, and our community on newgreektv.com. Offered in English and Greek language, read about politics, the economy, and upcoming events.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to New Greek TV News, English edition.
Enjoy our feature articles on travel, fashion, and health.
Thank you for having me. Good news.
Well, we want to hear everything about your background. Tell us a little bit about you.
Watch New Greek TV productions anywhere, anytime on our web TV.
Από την εκπομπή
Καλύτερο πιστεύω.
Εμείς πάνω σε αυτό το
στα προβλήματα που
Είναι η
αντιμετωπίζουμε.
Ελλάδα.
35%
Και αυτό που έχει κάνει αυτή η ταινία.
newgreektv.com. Our heritage, our community, our channel.